Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Cantor Kathy was noting how prompt all of you were. You were all in here, in your seats, 5 minutes early, ready to go. Oh, well, it helps you come in. That's good. So we'll begin with announcements. We'll invite Andrew Meerman to share with us what's coming up. Oh, no, sorry, Elaine. I thought it was Andrew's last time.
He did them last time. We were keeping score here. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you to the Semino family for blessing our candles and wine tonight. Mitzvah Day is finally here this weekend, and we hope to see that you're volunteering with us. Next Friday night, Rabbi Danny Berkman will be our guest speaker, and Noah Fromson will join Cantor Kathy on the Bima. And next Saturday is Hannah Brown's Bat Mitzvah at 10:30. A couple days later is the Temple Israel's annual meeting and board installation. It'll be June 13th. Dinner is at 6 p.m. and the meeting starts at 7. The dinner is free, but reservations are required. And on June 15th, please join Brotherhood in the boardroom for another, just doesn't say what kind of discussion, but another discussion, which I know Rabbi leads, and send your RSV to Larry K. Shabbat Shalom.
So if we'll take a moment and turn to those around us, all you prompt people, and say Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everyone. We'll invite the Semino family to join us on the Bima as they light our candles and raise our Kiddush cup. Page 2 is the blessing for the candles in our prayer book.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We turn to page 5. We invite you, no, don't go anywhere yet, Lift the glass. If you'll lift up the glass there in the middle, we'll share the blessing over our wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodeshu b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh bereshit ki hu yam techila lamikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikohamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
You guys can go to your seats. Great. May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express and hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, to selfishness or harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. As we begin Shabbat in song, page 10, with the words of Shir Chadash, may we sing a new song as we begin this day together.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
We walk back through our week. We take this moment as a time to remember the 7 days that have come before, all that's been accomplished, the many ways in which those 7 days, like the book of Genesis, were days of creation, days in which we built up parts of our world, days in which parts of it were destroyed. And we take this day as a break from that, as a day to be different. We welcome this day for all of its differences, for all of the ways in which it allows us to focus on our blessings, on our family, on the sacredness of time. We welcome it with the words of Lecha Dodi, page 20 and 21 in our prayer books.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor v'divarech ad hishmiyanu el hamayuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad Shem u'tiferet ve'litchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lecha v'necha ki mekor habaracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'mashkavat kila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri kiva orach, kumi uri shir daveri, kavod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Please rise in body or in spirit and face the entrance to our sanctuary or to our home. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala gama v'simcha, u'v'socha la toch emunei. Boi chala, boi chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela, lecha dodi likrat kala, penei Shabbat nekabela.
Please be seated, page 24, the words of Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Kasharet, Malachi Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem L'Shalom, Malachi HaShalom, Malachi Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachi Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We continue on page 26 with the Chatzi Kaddish. Yikadal v'kadash shamei Rabbah, ve'almad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chayedecho beit Yisrael, ba'agala ba'alagala u'vizman kariv v'meru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevarach, lehalamu al me'almaya, yitbarach, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shemei Dekadasha Barichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma, v'imeru. Amen.
O God, you are as near as the very air we breathe, yet farther than the farthermost star. We yearn to reach you. We seek the light and warmth of your presence. Though we say you are near, we are lonely and alone. Let our desire be so strong that it will tear the veil that keeps you from our sight. Let your light release our darkness and reveal the glory and joy of your presence. We rise for our call to worship, page 28. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows.
Baruch
everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai, Elohim, Amo Yisrael.
Page 34 and 35.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivud Malchuto, Leolam Vayim.
Be seated, page 36.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher Anohi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam V'shivtecha b'beitecha, u'v'lektecha v'derech, u'v'shokbecha u'v'kumecha, u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot b'neinecha, u'ktavtam al mezuzot beitecha, u'v'isharecha. Lema'an tizkeru v'asitem ekol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
On page 39, we share responsively. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh. No ratahilot osei pele, no ratahilot osei pele. Malachutacha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam. Lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'ilianu ve'amaru, Adonai imloch, Adonai imloch, le'olam va'im. Page 42, Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. V'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. shelter us beneath thy wings. O Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. O Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, guide wrong from right. O Adonai, Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. O Adonai. Shamru, page 44. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. B'nei Yisrael, oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam. Ubayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash, Shabbat vayinafash. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asut et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam barit olam.
We're a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. Reminding ourselves that the Exodus lasted a moment, but that moment continues to be one that we remind ourselves of, and therefore it becomes an infinite moment. It endures forever. So too in our lives, we remind ourselves that what happened once upon a time happens all the time, and therefore we reach back into the beginnings of our story, to the names of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, and we reach into the future of our story by taking this moment and allowing it to be one that we write ourselves. The words of the Amidah begin on page 46. As we rise, we take our time for these most personal prayers.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor Mahanara, Elayon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, V'zocher Chaste Avot V'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lama'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah, Rav LaHoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umidam Elach, Melech Meimit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Hachayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol.
Atah Kadosh v'Shimcha Kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom, Yehalalucha Sela, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael, page 57. Utfilatam be'ahava tekabel, you are with us in our prayer, in our love and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You, God, are the still clear voice within us. So when doubt troubles us and anxiety makes us tremble and pain clouds our minds, allow us to look inward for the answer to our prayers and find you, along with courage and insight and endurance. Let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch Atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. On the following page, our prayer for all that we are grateful for in this moment. Modim anachnu lach, God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, for wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, and for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer our thanks with these words. Baruch Atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ulcha Na'eh Lahodod. Page 60, Shalom Rav, is our prayer that we find a way that nation not take up sword against nation, that our world no longer know war.
Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav. Ki atah melech Adon, melech Adon, l'chol hashalom. Ki atah melech Adon, melech Adon, l'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amecha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amecha, Tasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol het u'b'chol shala b'shlomecha, b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha. Shalom Rab, Shalom Rab. Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rab, Shalom Rab. Please take a few moments for silent reflection. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Ve'asu li mikdash v'shakanti betocham ve'anachnu nevarech Yah me'ata ve'ad olam. Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. With thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
Shabbat Shalom. So, Carrie's out of town this week for school. They do an annual end-of-year trip, so I've had 5 days of being a solo parent, which those of you who've done that know that there's an automatic rule, which means that at least one of your kids will get sick while you're the only adult in the house, which happened on Tuesday. When one of our kids Ezra had an allergic reaction to something. And so I took him to the doctor, and the doctor gave him a medicine that, has to be taken very specifically, a step-down medicine, so I came home, I made a chart to make sure, solo parenting here, that I'm not going to be the one who forgets to give the kid his medicine when he's got an allergy. And of course, the last day on the chart is Hannah's bat mitzvah. So we're literally counting days until the bat mitzvah, which is my way of saying that usually on Shabbat, we like to look back at the week that's behind us in order to have a clean slate, to take this day as a day that's different from the other days, the previous days that we've had. But in our family, we are very much counting forward, as we know that next Shabbat, our daughter, our first child, will have her bat mitzvah. It's a first for us. So given that I've done, I don't know how many b'nai mitzvah, it is my first time as a father having bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah in our family. So tonight, and given the fact that I'm not really allowed to speak much next week, I figured tonight I could share a little bit about what I've learned, not so much as a rabbi, but as a father, watching my daughter go through this process, and thinking about what it looks like from what we might call the other side of the table. The bar bat mitzvah, what's now called, by the way, a b mitzvah, it's a newer term that's coming up. I've gotten used to it, you will too. It takes some time, but it's an easier way than having to explain what b'nai mitzvah means. If you think about a b mitzvah, it's different than any other rite of passage. In other words, at least how it is today. So it doesn't celebrate a change in status like our other life cycle rituals. You get married, you go from being single to being a couple. When you're born, you go from being not a person to being a person. When you die, you go from being a person to not a person. Something changes. You go from being not in mourning to being in mourning, from not being a parent to being a parent. Our titles change in most of our life cycle rituals. And you could say that that is true of our B'nai Mitzvah students, that they go from being children to being adults. But the reality is they don't. They are not actually adults the day they turn 13. Not in our society, not today. So too, you could say that rites of passage are about they're about proving that you're worthy of something. And you could say that the rituals that we expect our students to recite, and reading the Torah and standing before a large group of people in your synagogue, is our test of sorts to prove that you're worthy of this inheritance. In fact, lots of cultures have had rituals like this. Ancient Greece would send their 12-year-old boys out, give them a spear and a blanket, and send them out into the wilderness and see if they came back. And if they came back successful, having hunted something, then they were considered a man in their society. So, again, if we're honest, though, while the process of studying for a bar bat mitzvah is intimidating, while standing before a lot of people in a sanctuary and leading a service in a language that's more than likely not your first language is not exactly simple, it's not the same as being sent out and wondering if you'll survive or not. In other words, if you stand up on this bima for your bar bat mitzvah, you have already succeeded. This is not a test. We don't wonder whether you're going to make it or not by the end of the service. And yet, this is often how we talk about a bar bat mitzvah. It is a test of whether you're authentically Jewish or not. Somebody might say, well, I had a bar mitzvah. That's how Jewish I am. I passed that test. And some might say, once I have a bar bat mitzvah, I don't have to do anything anymore because I've done everything you asked me to do. As Rabbi Amichai Levine said, this has become our sort of central ceremony, that if you ask most Jews if they've been to a Torah service or even a Shabbat service, you might find that the average Jewish person would say, well, I haven't been to that many Shabbats, but I've been to lots of bar bat mitzvahs. Ask a person who's not Jewish, well, have you ever been to a synagogue? Oh yeah, I've been to a bar bat mitzvah. It seems that that service, which again doesn't mark anything that has actually changed in a kid's life, that service has become our primary focus. But it shouldn't feel like a test that you have to pass, and it isn't really marking any of the ancient rites of passages. And so now I've been able to watch my daughter prepare to become a bat mitzvah, and I would say it's an incredible rite of passage that we're very lucky to have. That might not surprise you. But here are the ways that I've seen for her that it's been, and for us, that it's really been a moment in time that has changed something for us. And the first is, it's a celebration of the village that has grown around the child. So it invites, what I mean by this is what we've seen happening over these last few months, and especially as the day comes closer, it invites all the people who know and love this child to come forward and acknowledge that to her. Not to us, the parents. We know who they are. But the child doesn't necessarily know all of the people who are in her village. Whether it's giving a gift or writing a note or even just saying, I'm so looking forward to your bat mitzvah, or I know your bat mitzvah is coming up. I've been watching Hannah as she's talking with people, some of whom she knows well and some of whom she doesn't, but all people who by acknowledging her simcha coming up are saying, I know you, I care about you, and I believe by doing so they're also telling her, whether she realizes it or not, that if they're present enough in her life to celebrate her, they're also present enough in her life to help her on the days that aren't her happiest days. And so she's coming to know the faces and the names of all the people who are in her village, who know her. And as a parent, one of the pieces that's become surprising, I would say, to us, that we weren't expecting in this process, were the numbers of conversations that we've had with her about the people she doesn't know, but whom we know care deeply about her. As we invited people or as we heard back from people, like, who is this? We would say, well, that was your first babysitter. That was the neighbor who watched you when your brothers were born. These are people who care about you and follow your life. You may not know who they are, but your village is a lot bigger than you think it is. And the last part about the village is that I think she's coming to see is that it's her unique village. In other words, all of us have, we could say, well, we're a part of the temple community. But the temple community is not centered on me or you or any one individual. But there is a unique group of people that each of us have in our life that are only connected by us as an individual. And our daughter's bat mitzvah seems to be a ceremony that is drawing all of those people to declare that they're a part of her village to her because of her, not because of an allegiance to something else or because they like the same football teams or they go to the same school or live in the same neighborhood. The only commonality among all of these people is simply that they know and love her. It's gotten to such a point that, in fact, when it was Noah's birthday, our middle child, at the beginning of April, we started talking about what he might want for his birthday. He said, you mean we're going to have a day that's not all about Hannah in these months? Which was true. But I think there's a lot of value in a 12-year-old learning how many people are actually living life with them. So that's been one of the major takeaways that we're blessed to have watched. The second is that it seems to be a liminal moment of measurement, which is a lot of big words, but what I mean by that is time stops and then we measure everything by this moment, it seems. Today in the car, in fact, Hannah was saying to me, and this has happened a lot lately, she says, you know, Dad, in 5 years I'm going to be going to college. So I started Googling colleges. But I would tell you that more than probably any other time in our life with her, we've been saying things like, 5 years ago, or 5 years from now, or in 2 years you'll be doing this, or it was only 3 years ago that happened. It seems to be that this time stops. Again, arbitrarily, because there's nothing different about being a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old that is so drastically, it's not like having a wedding or a funeral. There's not something that marks that time other than the fact that we decided this is the time we're going to mark. And so we start measuring, where were you? Where will you be? It's what some have called a stopping point to ask, who am I? And it's one that I think is fitting because many of us as adults can very vividly remember, if not our bar bat mitzvah, we can remember exactly what it felt like to be 13. And so I can think of exactly where I was when I was her age, who my friends were, what I was doing. I remember my bar mitzvah, and now I see her and I can compare apples to apples. How different is your life from what my life was at that very particular moment where my family and my community also stopped my life to assess, who was I then? And now I get to look back and say, well, look who I became. And I'm looking at her and saying the same thing. I think it reminds the kids especially, because a piece of this liminal moment of measurement is also that you could say it's expensive, which it is. No matter what your celebration is, it's like most Jewish celebrations, it's not an inexpensive endeavor. But there are a lot of things in life that our kids see that are expensive. Rarely do they see that our time and our money stop for them. And I think that's part of what makes this a liminal moment for her. The number of times that we've said we can't, it's Hannah's bat mitzvah, is infinite. People say, well, can you come to this meeting on Thursday, the 8th? Nope, I can't. That's the week of Hannah's bat mitzvah. I'm sure my parents are saying the same. I'm sure that her close friends are saying the same when they get invitations to play in a softball tournament or when people ask what we're doing. It seems to stop, and I think, again, for a 12-year-old kid to know that the world can stop for them for a moment is powerful. And finally, I'm going to very much quote, again, Rabbi Amichai Lau-Levine. It was a wonderful, there's a podcast in which he shares, he's a rabbi of this innovative synagogue called the Lab Shul, named well. And they've gone through a process of creating a very different type of bar and bat mitzvah service. But he was interviewed about what his experience has been as they've really thought outside the box as to what this moment means. And I think he shows something that's really unique about this moment for our kids. In comparison to other cultures who have their young people go out and hunt, or who have them act like adults in some way, have them dress up. In ancient Greek culture, again, they would get their first toga when they would turn 12 so they could look like adults. They would have a mentor. I'm sure there are all sorts of rituals and traditions that you may have in your family or you may know of when girls become women and boys become men that are shared. The Jewish experience is, according to Rabbi Levi, is to let them tell a story. We are storytellers. He says we're storytellers because our people had to move around so much that what was most valuable to us were the stories that we carried. And so when our children go to become an adult, what we ask of them is that you learn how to tell our story and your story. It's really remarkable if you think about it. With just over a decade of life under their belts, we give the microphone over to a 13-year-old. We give them our undivided attention and ask them to teach us something that they know about the world that we don't. We tell them that they're actually an expert. We put our ancient story before them in their hands and ask them to read it in an ancient language. We tell them that they have the ability to lead us in prayer. He calls this an opportunity to think about growing up as a human with Jewish tools to help you. It's a way of saying to a young adult, your voice is an important, vital voice for our people. And so it's not surprising that when our children leave their bar or bat mitzvah, they are often showing that they are on this high place where they feel that they can conquer the world because now they see what their world really looks like. They realize they have the power to stop time, to call upon the people who love them, the many, many people who love them and know them, and ask them to gather on their account. They realize that they can speak their mind, that they can share their story, and that people will listen. And so with those tools, I think we're just so lucky. For all the reasons that it was created, perhaps none of those were the originals, but that we have this moment where our children get to experience some of the best parts of truly being an adult. And so I don't think it's a graduation ceremony or a finish line or a test, but I do think it's a launching pad, a place in which, from that foundation, they can hopefully grow into the people that they will become. And so next week, I will shut up and enjoy my daughter, and she will enjoy that I won't say too much. She probably will be a little embarrassed by the few things I do say. But I wanted to share this tonight because it is a wonderful feeling to be able to watch your child see her village, stop time, speak her mind. And it's a wonderful feeling to see the many people beyond ourselves who love our children and who will be with them as they become the people that they should be. So for all of you, for the many people who aren't listening or whom I won't be able to say it to, it really has been our great pleasure and honor to be able to watch how people have reached out, how they love the people that we love, how they help us through things that we can't do ourselves and make things happen. And we really feel blessed to be a part of this community and to have met so many people along the way. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue in our service as we turn to our Aleinu, actually our Misha Berach first, page 253 in our prayer books, as we offer our prayers for those who are in need of healing, and then we'll turn to the words of Aleinu as we conclude our service. Page 253.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
If there are names you'd like to share, please share them.
Kathy Meyerson.
Dory Hoffman.
Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with Refuah Shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Please rise, page 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, latekedu la liotzer reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot, velo samanu kamishpachot adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchi hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. V'nemar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu, bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad.
Please be seated. The light of life is a finite flame. Like our Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows. It is radiant with warmth and beauty, but it also fades. Its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our life burns down and gutters. There's an end to the flames. We see no more, and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die as we move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. This week in our congregation we continue to remember Margaret Ellen Whitmer, Mary's mother, who we lost in this last month. And we also add to her name those that we lost at this time in seasons past: Edith Adler, Fania Edelman, Rose Goldman Glasman, Meyer Goldberg, Harry Joseph Goodman, Jess Greenberger, Dr. Charles Green, Sylvia Hankin, Simon Hers, Paul Kaplan, Isidore Irv Katz, Bennett Cloner, Henry Krause, William Lazaro, Jack Letterman, Ralph Leeper, Alan Lieberman, Dr. Harry G. Lieberman, Gail Ann Perry, Doris Rich, Solomon Seenberg, Belle Heimlich Segel, May Sigelo, Dr. Irwin Weiner, William Weiner, and Helen Jo B. West. If there are names I mispronounced or names you'd like to share, please share them. Page 294, we rise as we honor our loved ones with the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, Be'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chayechon u'v'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, B'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shmei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, huya aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all the world, as we say, amen. Having connected with those that we've loved and lost, we connect with each other, so we bless each other with the words of the priests. May God bless you and keep you. May God's presence be with you and be gracious unto you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace.
Amen.
Please be seated as we'll take a moment for any Shechianu moments in people's lives that they want to celebrate with the community. If you had anything you'd like to share, please raise your hand and let us hear. Yeah, go ahead. A third birthday for a granddaughter. Wonderful. Any others? The kids out of school yet? That can count. Yeah, oh yeah. Now you perked up. Right, Roman? Yeah. Yeah, Dina?
Eric ran and finished his first 5K last Saturday.
Wonderful.
He was number 9 in his age group and beat his personal training time by more than 10 minutes.
Wow, wonderful. Good job. How long was the race? It was
5K.
You beat his 5K record. That's wonderful. People at home have asked me to repeat everybody's happy. They get very frustrated, and they can't hear your happy moments, so I have to repeat them accurately. All right, one more. Any others? No? Should celebrate Jim getting his boot off. We're going to say no more boot for Jim. So for all the good things that have happened in our life, we thank God for letting us reach them and for letting our friends be here to celebrate with us. Shekianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
So before we share Motzi, we thank Mickey for being here and adding to our music. You're becoming a regular now, so it's good to see you again. I'll put in one plug for my friend Danny, who's going to speak next Friday night. Danny, who, what my daughter would tell you, is you can ask Hannah to do her British accent because Danny grew up in London, and he and I talk almost every day, and so my children have grown up hearing a British accent in the car, and so Hannah's developed a very good one. But not only is he's a wonderful preacher, but he preaches in a British accent, which is always wonderful to hear. So it's easy on the ears. But I do hope you'll join us. He's going to speak about world Jewry because he spent much of his Jewish life active in Jewish communities, not in America, even though now he's an American rabbi. So please join us next Friday night. And of course, we'd love to see anybody who's able to join us Saturday morning as we celebrate Hannah. So we'll join together in Motzi. Our presidents want to unveil the challah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Oseh shalom bimroma. Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael